Be inspired, supported, and empowered. This is the Global Healthy Living Foundation podcast network.
Welcome to The Health Advocates, a podcast that breaks down major health news of the week to help you make sense of it all. I'm Stephen Newmark, Chief Policy Officer at the Global Healthy Living Foundation. Our goal is to help you understand what's happening in the healthcare world to help you make informed decisions to live your best life. This week, we're at a crossroads. The FDA has refused to review a new flu vaccine from Moderna. The Trump administration has launched a new prescription drug website called TrumpRx. Confidence in vaccines is slipping, not surprising. And more than 100 public health organizations have joined a lawsuit challenging changes to the nation's childhood vaccine schedule. At first glance, these may seem like separate headlines, but they are connected to a larger theme. Trust in public health institutions, how vaccines are evaluated, and what patients can rely on when science and politics collide. Let's unpack it. We begin with a somewhat surprising development. The FDA has refused to review Moderna's application for a new influenza vaccine. This vaccine uses mRNA technology, the same platform used in Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. Now, this is not the FDA rejecting the vaccine outright. It is refusing to even review the application in its current form. That is an important distinction. At the heart of the dispute is a technical but significant issue. Which existing flu vaccine Moderna should have used as a control in its clinical trials to compare effectiveness? The FDA's Biologics Division, now led by Vinay Prasad, determined that the chosen comparator was not appropriate. On one level, this is scientific disagreement about trial design. That happens, but the context, of course, matters. This decision comes at a time when vaccine policy is already under intense scrutiny. HHS Secretary RFK Jr. has a long history as a vaccine critic, and observers note that vaccines appear to be receiving stricter scrutiny than in previous administrations. For patients, here is what matters. This flu vaccine is not approved. The FDA review process is independent and designed to be rigorous. Regulatory disputes are normal, but the timing and tone can influence public confidence. The flu remains a major public health issue every year. mRNA technology offers potential advantages in speed and adaptability for these vaccines. Whether this particular vaccine ultimately advances will depend on further data and regulatory negotiations. But the broader question lingers. Are vaccines being evaluated differently now? And if so, what does that mean for innovation? Second big news of the week, TrumpRx launches. Now, we're going to talk about prescription drug prices. The Trump administration has launched TrumpRx, a new government-backed website that promises dramatic savings on prescription drugs. At a press conference, the president called it the largest prescription drug price reduction in history. Here's what we know. The website lists 43 medications. Of those, more than half are already available in generic form at significantly lower prices. There are many, in fact, that we were able to find that were available cheaper elsewhere. That being said, the website itself can be used and can be a good tool for helping patients, quote-unquote, shop around when looking for the best deal. The site is powered by GoodRx, which already provides coupon-based discounts. Some medications can be purchased directly from manufacturers or specialty pharmacies, though these purchases often do not count towards insurance deductibles or out-of-pocket maximums. Some of the best deals that I at least was able to find while I was playing around on the website are with GLP-1 medications such as Wegovy and Ozempic. They're listed, and they are listed at prices that seem to be a lot lower than folks who are unable to obtain those medications through their insurance. Another avenue that I was able to find discounts, at least in my own research on TrumpRx, was for medications having to do with in vitro fertilization. What links GLP-1s and in vitro fertilization medications are that they're often not covered by insurance. So this could be an area where folks do find significant savings. Now, this is not a systemic reform of drug pricing by any means. It's essentially a place to go and find discounts or coupons on existing products. It's nothing more than that, despite the name and despite promises. One funny comment I can't help but ignore, President Trump said you're going to see savings like you've never seen. 500%, 600%, 700% cost savings in certain drugs. My basic math skills lead me to understand that if you're saving more than 100% on any product, it means that you are essentially being paid to take the product. So if a product costs $100 and the savings is 500%, that essentially means that you're being paid $500 to take that product. Obviously, that is not happening. That would be ridiculous. But take it for what it's worth. Check it out. You may be able to find cheaper drugs. You may not be able to, but it's another tool in the arsenal. Now let's get back to vaccine confidence dripping. There's new polling from the University of Pennsylvania's Annenberg Public Policy Center showing declining confidence in several vaccines. A recent study shows that 83% of the adults say the MMR vaccine is still safe, 83%. 80% say the flu vaccine is safe, and 65% say the COVID vaccine is safe. That represents a 3 percentage point drop from 2024 for MMR and flu. And compared to 2022, it's an even sharper drop of 5 percentage points for MMR and flu and 8 percentage points for the COVID vaccines. Now, these numbers still represent vast majorities of the United States feels safe with vaccines, but the trends are troubling, to say the least. The decline comes during measles outbreaks and a difficult flu season. At the same time, federal officials have shifted to a shared clinical decision-making model for certain vaccines. As we've spoken about, shared clinical decision-making means patients and clinicians discuss whether a vaccination is appropriate. And while that sounds patient-centered, labeling a vaccine as a, quote, shared decision-making item rather than routinely recommended can signal ambivalence. Doctors often rely on CDC recommendations to guide conversations, and when that language softens, confusion can increase. Public health relies on clarity. Vaccines protect individuals, but they also protect entire communities. When confidence declines, we're going to see real-world consequences with preventable disease outbreaks. That brings us finally to the courts. The American Academy of Pediatrics has filed a lawsuit challenging recent changes to the federal childhood vaccine schedule. More than 100 public health organizations and academics have filed an amicus brief in support. Their argument is straightforward. Recent federal actions weaken routine vaccine recommendations and may undermine protections that have dramatically reduced disease and death. The concern is not simply about policy, it's about process. For decades, vaccine recommendations followed a structured, evidence-based process through the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, ACIP. When changes occur outside that framework or without clear scientific input, trust can erode further. The courts will now play a role in determining how far these changes can go. So where does this leave us? Well, these headlines tell a larger story. A vaccine under regulatory dispute, a new drug discount website, declining confidence in vaccine safety, and a lawsuit over pediatric vaccine policy. They reflect the broader tension in American health policy right now. When regulatory agencies appear to shift standards, when vaccine recommendations change, when public messaging becomes inconsistent, patients can feel it. As always, we'll keep watching what happens next, not from a political lens, but from the perspective that matters most, patients. Thanks for listening to The Health Advocates, a podcast that breaks down major health news of the week to help you make sense of it all. If you found this episode helpful, please leave us a rating or review and share it with someone who cares about healthcare policy. And be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. You can find all of GHLF's podcasts at ghlf.org/listen. I'm Stephen Newmark. We'll see you next time.
Be inspired, supported, and empowered. This is the Global Healthy Living Foundation Podcast Network.